for, pardon me for a quick side break for anyone who hasn't. The assessments, the best way to look at associations are they're nonprofits. So what we do is we look at what the expected expenses will be for next year, and that helps us to arrive at what the income needs to be. So it's really kind of the opposite on how we all do our budgets at home. We take our income first, what's our paycheck, what's our income, and then we base our expenses on what we can spend. The associations are actually the opposite. We look at what the association plans to spend next year, and that's what our income will be. So that's how they establish the assessments. The board also reviews applications for modifications for your home, and Giovanna will get into more of that in terms of the application process. The board provides for the necessary operational personnel. So the headcount that we have on staff is determined by the board. They keep detailed accounting records for the association, and they provide for the care and the upkeep of common areas. So generally speaking, that's something where they will delegate that responsibility to the management staff, but it's ultimately the board's responsibility. So I've mentioned a couple times on that last slide as well, referencing the developer, and the developer is the board member. So who is the developer? Many of you may know that the TELUS Group is the developer of Windsong Ranch, and they specialize in residential and mixed use land development with a primary focus in master planned, amenity-rich lifestyle communities, similar to Windsong Ranch. But my personal opinion is nobody comes close to Windsong. The principals of the TELUS Group have a long history of creating value for both their residents and their capital partners by engineering and executing smart, disciplined, proactive management and capital strategies. And they're committed to creating places that positively affect the lives of those that live in a TELUS community and the land on which it's built. So you'll notice that even in Windsong Ranch, of the 2,000 or so acres in Windsong Ranch, there's almost 700 acres of open space land. So they're very careful about the land, very cautious on the building practices that are used, and sort of a nod to the existing land, or the original land, I should say. So a little bit about us. We are employees of CCMC, and at CCMC, we build community by bringing people together in the neighborhoods where they live and the offices where we work. So simply put, we create experiences that connect people. So you'll notice that a lot of what we talk about here tonight is geared towards the experience, the lifestyle. It's more than an association or an HOA you belong to. You pay dues or assessments for upkeep of the land. We have a vested interest in your community and making it a place to be proud to call home. You'll notice that CCMC is one that specializes in large-scale communities. We've been in business for over 45 years, and part of our mission is to make this feel like home. So unlike any other management companies, and I've, as you'll hear in my bio, I have a lot of experience in the HOA business, worked for different companies in my career, and I can tell you this is true, that unlike other management companies where you have the portfolio set up where we may be responsible for several other communities, the folks that you're going to meet tonight only work at Windsong Ranch. So we are dedicated to the Windsong Ranch community, and you'll see throughout this presentation, there's a lot of love for the Windsong community. Our office is open 7 days a week. You'll notice the hours are posted on the door, but we're there 7 days a week to serve you. And so, as we noted here, each member serves only CCMC, so time to get to know each one of us, and I get to go first. My name is Bob Harvey, Community Manager. I am a Southern California native, transplant. I moved here in March, and my wife and two youngest kids, I have two grown kids, the two youngest came with us and are attending 1st and 3rd grade at Windsong Elementary. I mentioned a minute ago, been in this business for close to 20 years. I've conducted numerous courses and seminars for the Community Associations Institute. That's an organization that specializes geared towards the homeowner association industry, and I'm very proud to have volunteered to serve on the chapter board. served, as it notes here, on the California Legislative Action Committee. So it's sort of always had a passion for the legislative process and kind of gearing towards laws that are created in the state. I guess that was more in California by, it was a survival instinct, more by necessity, but something that was a lot of fun for me. Some of the areas that I oversee with the community are, of course, the daily operations of the association. I work very closely with the board of directors as a consultant for them on the various operations. I'm involved in the financial accountability and planning stages I mentioned earlier with the budget preparation. I'm also on the payable side, overseeing the invoices that come through the association. And also it mentions here contractor supervision. So whether it's the folks who maintain the ponds to the landscape contractors, pest control, that's something where I have oversight of. So back to the sort of HOA 101, if you will. We'll talk more about the assessments, and this is a good time for that, where we're developing the budget for next year. The assessments, and I think Ivy mentioned this earlier, are also sometimes referred to as dues, which personally I'd rather avoid that term because it sort of infers that there's a voluntary aspect of it, like your gym membership has dues, and you can cancel your gym membership if, like me, you never went there. Association dues are mandatory. So it's one of the things with when you purchase a home in an HOA, you have several things, mandatory assessments, governing documents that run with the land, and the assessments are lien-based. So the assessments are required from every Windsong resident. They fund the operating budget and the reserves, the reserves, by the way, plan for long-term repair and maintenance of the major components of the community. The assessments, as we mentioned earlier, are established by the board of directors. There is a flat rate of assessments. In some communities, it's based on how large your lot is, or how large your condo is, or how large your home is. With Windsong, it's a flat rate. In the Windsong Ranch community, everyone pays the same $134 per month, which are billed quarterly at $402 per quarter. If you're in the villas, which we'll kind of talk a bit about that here, the villas have an extra assessment, and that's because the association maintains the landscaping and exterior pest control, and they also have responsibility for roof maintenance and exterior building maintenance. So there are some operating expenses that go in there, and then some long-term reserve funding for the villas. So once we finish the budgeting process for the association as well as the villas, we will notify you prior to the start of the next fiscal year what the rate of assessments will be for the next year. Some questions or bullet points here on how to pay your assessments, and I just had a conversation with a new member about this this afternoon. There are several ways that you can make your assessment payments in really no particular order here. You can mail them in. So when you get your statement on a quarterly basis, there will be a payment address. You can mail in the payments. You can go on what's called direct debit, which is where you give the association authorization to deduct the amounts of the assessments from your bank account, whether it's checking or savings. You can pay online at the association's website, windsongcommunity.com. There's a space right there at the top. You'll see it for make association payments. And then the last thing, and I think this is probably the most popular, is you can set up the association as a vendor with your bank using bill pay. So you go online to your bank, set up the association like you would a car payment or your mortgage payment. And then you can just set it up whether it's recurring or when you get your bill, you can pay the association through your bank. So I believe that might be my last slide, Ivy. So if we can, before introducing Giovanna Jones, I've got a couple of HOA specific questions. So rather than make folks wait till the end, I can give a quick couple of answers here. So Dan Keefe asked a question about the current build out. So Dan, I don't have the percentage without breaking out a calculator, but I can tell you that the association at build out is expected to have just over 3,600 homes. And the last number that we got, there were about 1,400 or so built. So you can see there's still about 2,200 or so homes to go before the association is built out. And then the homeowner, if the question was related to when the homeowners begin to join the board, it's at about 75%. So if that gives any sort of indication. And then the other question that came in regarding the assessment bill covered the answer on that one. But how early, the question here is, how early for commons and pool for early swim? So I'm actually going to defer that one to Ralph when he gets the mic. The question about early swim at the commons, and then the rules for lagoon. Ralph is also going to cover that for lagoon access. So Ralph, the question, you'll see it in the chat. We'll save that one for you, but right now let's turn it over to Giovanna Jones, who is our Community Standards Coordinator. Giovanna, take it away.
Thanks, Bob. Hi, everyone. Glad you could join us on this stormy night. I am Giovanna Jones, your Community Standards Coordinator. And there's a little bit of fun facts about me, but I am all things Ohio. And so I've been with CCMC since January, and I've been with Windsong Ranch, go Bucks! I've been with Windsong Ranch since May. I'm everything Ohio, family, and music. So I do, as you see, DJ on the side, so I love music and DJing. A little bit about what I do as the Community Standards Coordinator. Now, if you've been in the HOA before, please don't hold that against me. I know it's a stigma that comes with my job, but don't listen to it. Basically, what I do is the developers of Windsong Ranch take pride in what they have developed for you to live at. And so what I do is basically make sure that it stays nice, the landscaping is good, that the property looks as the developers have maintained it to be. So I want to maintain the look of Windsong Ranch. They take pride in it, and I know the residents as well as yourself take pride in living here, and we want to keep it that way and maintain it. So some of the things I do is I handle the residents, the homes on in Windsong Ranch as well as the villas. So I handle the landscaping to make sure that the landscaping for the common areas, the lagoon, the commons where we are, where we house, and also just around the property stays good. If I see something that needs to be changed, or we need to fix, or there's a leak or anything like that, it comes to me to handle. The main thing that I do, as well as maintaining the property and landscaping, I also make sure that the residents are living and maintaining the guidelines set forth by Windsong Ranch. So the guidelines, violations, guidelines can be found on windsongcommunity.com. Under community, there's guidelines of maintaining within the community. So I do drive-bys. I come around and make sure that residents are maintaining their property, not just for us here in the HOA, but for you, for your property value, to keep your appreciation up, and just to make sure that the community looks good and maintains that way. Another main thing is I do residential modifications, which are art applications. So if there's any modifications that you want to do to your home, meaning you want to add a pergola, pool, spa, widen your driveway, fences, play sets, let's see, sheds, anything that you want to add to your home, even landscaping, front and rear, you will need to fill out an application. A lot of people in the community are not aware that you have to actually fill out an application to put a tree in your front yard or a stone border or things like that, but yes, you do. And the way you would do that is you would fill out what is called our application that is also found on our website, windsongcommunity.com. So I want to give you kind of example of what it looks like. So this first, where it says Windsong Ranch Reviewer application form, this is the application. So it's pretty basic. Just fill it out with your name, address, date, and then explain to us what you're doing. This is a good example because this resident kind of broke it down of what he's installing, the height, the width, because it's important for us to know the more information, the better, so that we can match what you're doing up against the guidelines and make sure that you are within regulation of whatever project you're building. And then the second page, there's a 3-page application. The second page is the owner acknowledgement. And so we just want to make sure that you understand that what the guidelines are, what we're doing. And also the most important thing is please no building anything before approved. If it's not approved, if you haven't turned the application for it, please don't build it first. We've had that happen we had that happen a lot of times. So I just want to emphasize that please turn in the application, get the approval, and then start the project. So these are some examples of what we're looking for in the application. A lot of people are not familiar with the plat survey. So the first slide is the plat survey. We like to see exactly what you're building, the project on the actual plat survey, so we can measure up setbacks and make sure that everything is the height, the width, the setbacks are in place. And the plat survey gives us a whole view of your property, so that it gives us a better measurements of everything. So if you ever get an email from me and I'm asking to put something on a survey or your plat survey, this is what I'm talking about. It's just easier to give the reviewers a whole view of your property lines, setbacks, things like that, especially when you're constructing a pool. Very important that you provide the plat survey for every application if possible. These are examples of pictures. Usually when you're building a pool, the pool design company does a good job of they do a good job of giving the information that is needed, because they work with the residents of Windsong Ranch daily. A lot of people here have pools and they continue to get pools, and so some of the same companies are being used, so they're familiar of what our guidelines are. Second picture is, someone's doing an outdoor kitchen. We like to see color photos so we can see what you're trying to do, and then put that up against the measurements and just make sure that it's within the guidelines. This is an example of what you receive. So once I get all your information, meaning the applications, the plat surveys, the diagrams, the designs, you send all color photos, you send it all to me. I will review it just to make sure that I have everything that I need, or everything I think the reviewers will need. So what I do is try to make sure you have everything before I get it to the reviewers, so we don't have any lag time. So if I see, you might be missing a picture, or I need measurements on something, I try to get that from you before it goes to the reviewer, so that we can get it back to you as soon as possible. So once I upload it into our system, the first letter is an acknowledgement letter that you'll get. It explains that we have received your project and that we're reviewing it. Now, the reviewers have 30 days to review your project and get an answer back. Does it always take 30 days? No. They're pretty good and adamant about trying to get your project back to you with an approval as quickly as possible. The second letter, once they do review it and it is approved, you will get another letter. It will be emailed to you that says that it has been approved and that you can start the work. Sometimes there's approved with a condition, meaning that if they have some conditions with your approval, it will be listed out as well, meaning that make sure that you're not interfering with the drainage on your neighbors, or make sure that it's a certain amount of feet for a border or whatever it may be, then that will be also in the letter to let you know what the conditions are for the approval. And I think that's it for me. If you ever have any questions, feel free to just shoot me an email. I'm here to answer any questions in regards to violations or what you can and cannot do, guidelines, and help you with your ARC applications. And I think that's it. So thanks for listening, and I'll hand it over to Katie or Ivy.
Hi guys, I'm Katie. I am operations coordinator. I actually started at Winsong as a member services associate 4 years ago, and I'm now operations coordinator. In my spare time, you can find me biking or walking around my home, downtown McKinney, and my passions include DIY projects, antiquing, decorating, and spending time with my family. Some of the areas that I'll be overseeing and working with you on, it's going to be daily operations at the Commons, front desk, access cards, and more. And we'll actually talk a little bit more about access cards in a moment. It includes also reservations for hosting a party at the Commons, managing resident clubs and groups, as well as story time and crafts. So that's something I actually did today. We had a donut storytime and crafts, and we read a couple of fun donut books. So if you guys are not already receiving emails on Fridays, make sure to email us. You can either email me or email anyone on our staff. Come into the front desk or front office, and we will get you on the emailing list. That way you guys can find out everything that's going on. And speaking of which, getting established at Winsong Ranch, we'll start with the website. You can find community resources posted to the website for you to find easily and efficiently. Also, registration is open right now, and you can register by using the resident login button and input your information there. We have our Winsong community, our website for residents, winsongcommunity.com. And this is where you'll be able to have, like I said, all of the community resources. We have Winsong Ranch Residents Instagram as well. And that's the handle at Live Winsong. And then we have right there in the middle a screenshot of our Facebook page, Winsong Ranch Residents. And if you guys are not already following us on Facebook, make sure to follow us on there by giving us a like. That's where a lot of fun things come through, updates in the community come through on there, as well as all the different events that we have. And then, yes, if you're not getting our weekly emails, that's super important. Make sure to let us know if you're not already receiving it. You'll be getting RSVP links, all of the details for all of our events, and more. So definitely make sure that you are signed up for those. Access cards, and so you'll definitely need that. Access cards will get you into all the amenities. The amenities are for the use of residents and their guests only, so the access card will be required. We have a policy that every household will receive 2 complimentary access cards, and then each additional will be $25. Caregiver and 90-day temporary cards are available. 1 caregiver may be assigned to each household, as well as knowing that access card holders must be 14 years or older, and they must have an access card if they are 14 years or older. That's important. How to obtain your access card: visit us on that resident website, winsongcommunity.com, and then definitely go to the community tab select access card request, and then you'll be able to fill out your request there, as well as make sure that you also sign the facilities use agreement. And if you don't, if you're having trouble signing that facilities use agreement, you can always sign it when you come to pick up your access cards as well. And then once your request is complete, you will be emailed and you'll be getting the confirmation that we have it ready for you for pickup. And after 5 to 7 business days, you should get that confirmation email. If you do not receive it, let us know. We are definitely processing access cards a lot faster right now, so you should be hearing back from us within a couple of days.
And I wanted to add on that as well. On the access cards, a lot of people will ask if their form was submitted, because the way that the system is set up, you don't get a notice that says your card has been submitted. So don't be alarmed if you've put in your information, press send, and nothing happens. For whatever reason, that's the way that the form is on our website. We're trying to figure out a better way to make that work. But for right now, you won't get anything that says your card has been submitted. You will get a notice when it's ready for you to pick up. So keep that in mind.
And Ivy, speaking of the access cards and amenities on that slide, we had a question just come in about amenities specifically. So currently there are 2 amenities open at Windsong Ranch. The Commons, which of course houses our office, the cafe, the fitness center, and the 2 pools, is known as Amenity Center 1. The crown jewel, the lagoon, is known as Amenity Center number 2, and we have 2 more coming. So Ivy, I'll turn it over to you to share more details about Amenity Center number 3. That's in development right now, but Ivy has had a hand in that, and she can kind of share some more. Amenity Center number 4, I can tell you the plan right now is for it to be an outdoor amenity center that will have an open air facility for hosting events like concerts and things of that nature outdoors. But Amenity Center number 3, of course, will be next in line, and they should be breaking ground there in the next, I'm going to guess, 6 months or so. And Ivy, you can share some more about what that will be.
Sure. We haven't seen specific drawings just yet to really give you a bird's eye view, but we do know Amenity Center 3, will be an indoor facility. So it will be an area that we can have indoor events. Most likely it will be a space also that residents will be able to rent out for private parties. And we'll have multiple rooms within the building. So there's going to be a lot more opportunity for a lot of different events to even up our lifestyle programming even that much more. We're really looking forward to it. I do believe probably by the end of this year, we'll at least be starting the project. And then completion time really depends on what the final drawings look like. But Bob was accurate in saying 6 months is probably what we're looking at for that one.
And there's, you can track, so where, and we have the map, of course, in our office in the Commons, in the Welcome Center. The developer currently has their office in the old farmhouse. Windsong Ranch used to be a chicken farm. And so the house that is just to the west of Windsong Ranch Parkway at the north is where the developer is housed from. That's the site of Amenity Center number 3. So when you see them tear down the farmhouse and their current office, you'll know they're getting ready to erect Amenity Center number 3. And then before we move on, turn it over to Ralph. A question came in about the access cards. Ralph is going to go into some really good detail about the amenities that we have, especially the outdoor amenities. But the question came in is what do we need the access cards for? Currently, the access cards are used to enter the pool at the Commons, as well as the fitness center, the tennis courts, and the basketball courts when we're able to reopen them, which they're currently closed due to the COVID restrictions. And then also they're used to verify yourselves at the lagoon. I say it that way because the gates are typically propped open at the lagoon, but once the staff checks you in, they will still have you swipe your card to make sure it's still active. And so with that, we'll turn it over to Ralph Alvarez, our recreation coordinator, excuse me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ralph. From the DFW area. Recently at Texas X. So if there's any Longhorns out there, welcome. I'm currently completing my master's from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign in recreation, sport, and tourism. In my free time, I like to hike. I actually just got back from Arkansas. I love playing sand volleyball and then learning any new outdoor games and sports that there are out there. So a couple of things that I do are planning and organizing sport and fitness activities for you guys within the community. And then supervising the daily operations of the lagoon. So if you have any questions, we'll go over that in a minute. Other things, I manage instructors and trainers. So Camp Gladiator, we have SUP yoga, water aerobics, and a couple other things that we kind of put on pause, but we'll slowly start integrating back into the community. And then one thing that I recently did was a volleyball tournament over at the lagoon. So sports leagues and contests, you'll see regularly sprinkled in the lifestyle calendar. All right. So outdoor amenities and indoor amenities, a couple that we have right now. You have your fitness gym at the Commons. You also have 2 pools, the lap pool and the splash pad. You have that event amphitheater with a stocked pond. You can see Nathan right there on the right in the picture with his prize catch from our fishing derby in May. And then across the parking lot at the Commons, you also have the basketball court and the tennis courts. One of the tennis courts actually has 2 pickleball outlines on it. So on top of planning events and activities for sports, I also help activate other outdoor areas. So with those pickleball courts, I recently 2 pickleball nets that are out there for you guys to use. And I also purchased 100 pickleballs and 6 pickleball rackets that are out there on that court, so you guys can check them out. And if you guys are actually interested, they're on the eastern court in the storage area, and you can access that area using the code 7102. And that one, I believe, is in the amenities packet that Ivy's either sent you guys or will send you guys. So don't worry about writing that down, but it is in that corner storage and it's free for you guys to use. So other things we have, in that left picture, you can see the disc golf course. It's 18 holes. However, the back end is closed because of the construction over at the peninsula. So you can still access the front end. I think it's holes 18 through 8. So those you can still use. We also have a mountain bike course. There's 3 loops. Each one is over 1 mile. We have a dog park with 2 different sides, one for small dogs, one for large dogs. We have a community garden with 32 plots. Starting next February, you guys can rent a plot from February to November. And then we also have our hike and bike trails that follow the green belts, and then a couple through the streets that you guys can jump on. Over at the lagoon, we have paddleboarding and kayaking. You guys can either rent the paddleboards and kayaks we have there, or there's a permit process to bring your own. So at the lagoon, if you guys were on a tour with us, you know it's 5 acres big. From one end to the other, it's a 1/4 mile. So I can't do it, but if you're anything like these triathlon enthusiasts, it's a great way to lap swim. So a couple of things about the lagoon. It's very sustainable. It uses the ultrasonic filtration system, which is, I think, part of their proprietary system, and they have proprietary chemicals that they put into it. But it only utilizes 1% of the chemicals that go into a traditional swimming pool. And it uses 50 times less energy. It gets to about 9 feet deep in the deep end. So if you guys haven't been there, you can kind of see a beach in the back behind these paddle boarders. It gradually goes in. You can walk in on 2 of the beaches. And then as you get into the deeper end, it'll get to 9 feet. And then around the entire edge there's a shelf, I believe, about 4 feet deep. So it's not, 9 feet pushed up right against the border. And to pair with that, you actually have 6 feet of turf lining the back side of the lagoon. So if you ever felt crowded at the beaches and just kind of want to get away into your own corner, you can actually go into the back of the lagoon, throw down a picnic blanket, bring your own chairs. If you have an umbrella that sits on a stand, you can bring that and just kind of camp out in the back. And then because you have that shelf, you can actually stand along the border on the back end and relax there as well, or float. So other things to do at the lagoon, we have a sand volleyball beach. So we have a professional set. We had a volleyball tournament this month. We had one a couple months ago. We have a resident club that goes out and meets to play just pickup games of volleyball. And then we'll also have other activities that come and go. Recently, we had a water polo club reach out to us, and they went and taught a clinic for about 30 Windsong Ranch residents. So you'll see just a variety of activities that we'll be having at the lagoon. Next slide. So one question that we get a lot from new residents is, what is the guest policy? So the policy across the board at all the amenities is that each household can bring 5 guests per day. So if you wanted to bring 5 guests 365 days of the year, you could do that. With the lagoon, each household this year is receiving 7 complimentary guest passes. And those are single use. So you could use 5 tomorrow and then 2 the following day. After you use those complimentary guest passes, there is an associated fee with each pass. Generally, Tuesday through Thursday, it is $15 per guest pass. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it is $25 per guest pass. The lagoon is open Tuesday through Sunday, normally. But as you can see at the bottom of the slide, we do have what we call holiday Mondays, which it's either a Monday on a holiday or near a holiday. So the examples are Memorial Day, the Monday closest to July 4th. This year, it was July 6th because it was the Monday following July 4th. And then also Labor Day. And then on those holiday Mondays, it's $25 per guest pass. One thing that we added this year was a senior guest pass discount. So any residents age 60 years, any resident 6 years of age or older can bring up to 5 immediate relatives for free, Tuesday through Friday. Saturday, Sunday, and holiday Mondays, it's $10. If there's any non-immediate relatives, so anyone that's not a sibling, child, grandchild, so non-immediate relatives, you can bring them for $10 any day of the week, except for Mondays. So kind of one thing that Katie covered was to access the lagoon, you need an access card. So any resident over the age of 14 needs an access card. And then there's also the caregiver card. So if the caregiver went with the children while you were at work, they can also access the lagoon. And that's a process that if you need more help on, we can cover that later. But each household needs to have a facilities use agreement submitted. And then during these times, during restrictions, there's also a COVID waiver that we require of all residents. So if you need the link for that, definitely email me. I can put it in the group chat if need be. Let's see. Let me answer some questions that were in here. Okay, so when it comes to the commons, you can lapse. It opens at 8 a.m. At the moment. Normally it is open 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. Your access card gets you into the pool area, the gyms, the tennis courts, and the basketball court from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. normally. However, right now, if you would like to lap swim early in the morning, there's a form in our newsletter that you have to request access. And it's just a matter of me checking that you filled out the COVID waiver. So once I check that, I give special access on your access card to access it early. I said access a lot, but 4 a.m. to 8 a.m., you can go in an early lap swim. If a kid, so the kid that's tagging along, it depends. If they're a resident, they don't need a pass or pay. If it's a non-resident, if the child is 3 years of age or older, they do need a pass. And right now, we just expanded guests to Tuesday through Sunday, so any day of the week, except for Mondays.
I think the other question there, Ralph, touches on the temporary card that we talked about. So with this whole COVID craziness, there have been a lot of changes, a lot of new residents moving from out of the area, needing to get a state-issued identification card or driver's license in order to prove residency. Now, I'm going to stop right there and explain that doesn't apply to homeowners. So if you purchased a home, you can very easily provide us with a copy of the documents, either through the builder or through your sales team. The issue that we're finding is that if there are genuinely new residents who have joined your household, but they have not been able to get their state-issued identification card because, for example, a few months ago, or up until a few months ago, the offices were closed. So you literally could not receive a Texas-issued ID because the offices were closed. So what we've done is we've created a temporary access card where it actually prints the word temporary on it and an expiration date. We issue these for a 90-day period. And what we've found is that many folks, including myself, as I mentioned earlier, recent transplant, are able to get the license and all that taken care of within 90 days. So we found that to be the best, most feasible workaround for the situation we find ourselves in, where you have opened your home to a family member, they've moved in, so they really truly are a resident, but they're not able to prove it because, again, they can't go and have their ID issued with their Winsong address. And the other thing this does is it creates a process so we don't have access cards being issued to everyone who wants an access card. Because the lagoon, for example, at 100% capacity, which, as most of you know, we're still at 50% capacity, but at 100%, the lagoon's total capacity is just a hair over 2,700 people. And so with us being a community of 3,600 homes, you can easily do the math and see if we average 3 or 4 people per home. If everyone wanted to go to the lagoon, we're going to have a hard time with just the residents. So there has to be some form of control over the issuance of access cards. But again, the temporary card issue was something we were able to address through the board of directors to create a process to allow for issuance in these special circumstances we find ourselves in. And hopefully, Dan, that answers your question, but if not, we'll have a Q&A here towards the end.
All right, thank you, Bob. I will take over and talk a little bit about lifestyle. So as you all know, and most of you that are on this call have received emails from me, so welcome. I am the one that's been emailing you. I'm Ivy. I do work on, with the whole team, creating the content calendar of what activities we have going on. Typically in a normal year where we're not under all these restrictions, we will be over 100 events each year. But right now we're being creative, trying to keep things, you know, what we can do and doing as much as possible with the restrictions in place. Right now with the town, for those of you that have seen a lot of the big festivals or outings and things that we have as our previous events, we're just really not allowed to do it. So I'm looking forward to when we can get back in person and really get to know you all. I also focus on communication with the new residents. So when you guys went under contract, your builder most likely sent me your contact info, and that's how we got you looped in on everything. But as Katie and others mentioned before, if you do not receive our communications, our Friday email or any of that, take down my email address right there and send me a message and I'll get you added to everything. Some background on me, as if you can see there, I've been an event planner for almost 10 years now, Previously, I worked for venues and for custom home builders, and then joined CCMC almost 4 years ago. So it's been a great experience and love getting to know all of our residents. So the lifestyle, it's a big component of Windsong. The developers, the TELUS group, really wanted to create almost a resort style experience for you all. So the lifestyle is a big part of that. We like to have a full calendar of events and activities in a wide range of interests. So things for kids, things for free birds or empty nesters as we call them, holiday events, festivals, you name it, we want to make it happen for you. If you have any ideas, I'd love to hear them. And if you're interested in being a volunteer or part of our Block Ambassador program, which is a new thing we just started, please let me know and I'd be happy to add you to all of that. I know some people did reach out saying they want to be a Block Ambassador, but their section was full. Good news, this week we'll be opening that up to additional people as well, so keep an eye out for that. Another part mentioned there on the corner, sponsoring. We are able to do a lot of these events by partnering with local businesses who sponsor products, donate money, bring volunteers, many different ways that sponsorship can work. So if you have a business that you want to get in front of the other residents, a great way to spend your marketing dollars is to partner with us, and we'll get your name out there and have fun while doing it. So just let me know. Here's a little snapshot. These are some pictures from last year's events. So as you can see, it runs the gauntlet from festivals, family friendly. We had a car show, 5Ks, music, goat yoga, tons of fun stuff to do. And the last couple members of our team before we go to the Q&A is our maintenance team. We could not do it without them. We have 2 members that are full-time, and then you'll see the porters that help clean up and take out the trash and fix all the little things. So Gene is our maintenance supervisor. He gave a little bio for you guys there, but he's has traveled all over the United States and abroad. He's an ex-military man, worked for refineries, and just loves spending his time outside of the office grilling and enjoying a cool drink at home. And then Dalton is our maintenance associate, and you will see this guy running all over the place in the Gator probably. If you see that green vehicle driving around down the streets, that's Dalton for you. He has experience in welding and a bunch of other handyman, pretty much jack of all trades. So whenever you guys, if there's something that's requiring maintenance, you can always send the message to Bob or Giovanna, but Gene and Dalton are also providing you their contact info here, so you can reach out to them if you need to. All right, so we'll open this up to Q&A. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and we'll be able to see you all again. So if you want to turn on your camera so we can see each other, that would be great.
And Ivy, there's somebody waiting in line here, a couple of questions about vehicles.
Yep.
So a golf cart policy and also a question about resident parking permits. So the golf cart policy, it is touched on in the documents briefly, but the town of Prosper allows what are known as LSVs, or low-speed vehicles, within the town to be driven on streets that are marked under a certain speed limit. And I believe it's 35, might be 30 miles an hour. But some of the main arteries, especially Windsong Ranch Parkway, for example, are 35 near Kroger, the shopping center, and 25 throughout the community. So you can drive your golf cart on Windsong Parkway, as well as the interior streets without a permit. If you're taking it to Kroger, for example, you might be asked for license and registration. But when it comes to permits within Windsong Ranch, there was at one point, and I'll defer to some of our team members who have a bit more history with the community than I, but there was a permit process for the association that it sounds as though it's essentially been done away with. So no resident permit or sticker process for cars.
I think with that too, we've got through all the typed in questions. If you have additional questions, you can type them in, or if you want to raise your hand or just start speaking, since a lot of cameras are turned off, we can answer any additional things that you guys are wondering. And if we have no more questions, I guess that's the end of our presentation.
Sounds like we've exhausted all the questions.
I think so. We did pretty good. We're just at an hour, so we finished in exactly our allotted time frame.
Quick question on the lagoon. So we've been here a few weeks, but we haven't made it over there. Is there any like specific rules right now during COVID outside of just the normal like social distancing?
No, so Ralph can talk more to this, but we worked very carefully with the board to reopen the pool as an outdoor water amenity. And as you mentioned, we're under the COVID restrictions. The last update from the governor's task force was early July. There's been no change since then, or no updates. So what was put in place for the pool essentially applies to the lagoon as it relates to the capacity. That's really the biggie. Masks are not required if social distancing can be implemented, which it has been. So the main thing is that we're just held to a 50% capacity rule. The difference, and I was drawing some parallels between the two, but the big difference is that we never put in a reservation system for the lagoon. And I know you're just joining us, but a few months back when we reopened the pool, we actually had a reservation system in place where you would go online to a website, reserve your time, and come in with your group. Once we were able to open the lagoon, there was no such system put in place. However, what we did to control the attendance numbers and keep us well under capacity was we slowly opened it up to guests and visitors, starting off with a few days during the week and then recently opening it up to all 6 days.
Okay.
And on the sanitation side of those, also we've implemented at the lagoon a sanitation policy where when you check in, you'll be given a yellow wristband to place on your chair. That not only reserves your chair for you, so you can go in and out of the water and they know someone's sitting there, but when you leave, the barefoot team, which is the management of the facility, knows to go and sanitize your chair, and then they remove that yellow tag so that someone else can sit down.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good to know.
Right, and then the only other thing from residents' perspective that is changed is normally the lagoon you can access from either gate, the west or the east gate. Right now, to monitor occupancy, you can only enter through the west gate and then exit through the east gate.
And that was done for two reasons. Number one is, as Ralph mentioned, to maintain the attendance numbers. So they'll count you as you enter. You'll notice they have the counter, the hand counter at the entrance, and they'll also count those who leave. So we're doing math throughout the day to subtract one from the other to make sure we're well under the capacity limits. The other thing too is we didn't want to have a lot of congestion at the entry points, where if a group is trying to come in as a group is trying to go out. So to minimize that flow of traffic, we just have it one way going in and one way going out. And also there's a question, thank you, Bryn, from an earlier conversation, exercise room isn't open until 8. It is actually open at 4 a.m. So that's one of those key card access points, and resident access cards are able to open that room as early as 4 a.m. Ralph, you are coordinating the, and this perhaps might be a Katie question as well, but as far as outdoor birthday parties at the lagoon, that's sort of a COVID casualty at the moment. But if you can talk more about some things that some conversations we've had with residents about being able to accommodate, sort of how we've worked around that restriction.
Right, so right now we've put a pause on any of our host a party programs. The host a party is normally held at the Commons, and what what that process essentially grants you is the ability to bring up to 30 non-residents into the pool area. It's not a program that is at the lagoon. However, the workaround that Bob mentioned was each household can bring up to 5 guests. So if most of your party is made up of residents, that won't count towards your, group size. And then if you do have, friends in the community, they can bring any extra guests. But each individual household cannot bring more than 5 people.
So for example, if you wanted to bring, let's say, 10 family members, you could bring 5 yourself, and then you could also invite one of your neighbors to bring one of your child's friends and your other 5 family members. So it's sort of a loophole we've exposed, but we're not able to host parties of 10 or more. So if you did have a birthday party, for example, and you wanted to host it at the Commons, that would be the way to do it, would be to coordinate with some of your friends and neighbors in the community and have your party come in under their access cards. So again, that's sort of our way to try and have the best of both worlds, where we can still have you and your family host your party, but we're not organizing an event over 10 people.
I see that it came in the chat, is that 5 paid guests. So yes, if you're using the lagoon, they would need their wristband, whether it was your complimentary wristbands or if the guests are paying. But if you're doing this party at the Commons pools, there's no fee. So you can always bring your guests to the Commons pools and do the same, have your neighbor bring their 5 people, you bring 5 people, across the street neighbor bring 5 people. And those are all free at the pool. It's only the lagoon that requires a guest pass.
And then a question earlier, the lagoon is open year-round, but it's not heated. It's at your discretion, so as long as you can tolerate it, you can jump in. If you want to buy a suit to keep you warmer for longer, that's an option. And then same thing goes for the pool. It's not heated.
And I see a message about tennis courts. Tennis courts are also 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. If you are using the tennis courts after dark, there is a timer that you can turn on to turn on the spotlights overhead. It's a white turn dial as you enter. So just put that for however long you want to go, and the lights will shut off at the end of the timer.
Yes, wetsuits are perfectly okay.
You mentioned the guest passes that we get every year. How do we access those, I guess? Do we pick them up at the Commons area?
Yes, so we do have them for pickup at the Commons. If you already have your access card, you'll just bring that or a driver's license. If you don't have either, just bring your title or your, so bring your title, and that's your proof of residency. If you're a, let's see, so if you're a rentor, you'll just have to get the homeowner to email Ivy, and that way we'll get you your passes.
And a question just came in about the basketball court. And I wish I could say I have an answer to when the basketball court will open, because we can't wait. Some of the members of the board, in fact, residents as well, play, and they can't wait for it to open. I recently, as recently as about a week ago, did a survey of other communities in this area. So reason being, they're under Texas restrictions as well. Did a survey of other communities to find out what their current policies were with respect to their outdoor basketball courts. And only one community came back and said their courts were open, but in that case, they were literally open. They were not access controlled, so they really had no way of stopping folks from bringing their ball and playing some hoops. In the other cases where they had gates and access control devices like we do, they are not open, and one, in fact, went so far as to remove the rim so nobody would even attempt to play on their basketball courts. It is very unfortunate, but as I mentioned too, I alluded to the governor's task force and their updates that were dated July 2nd and released on July 3rd. There's a limitation on outdoor sports in that, and I'm just paraphrasing here, but it's all online. It says that contact with other participants is prohibited. So I know we can all be very careful when we play horse, but if there's a pickup game that gets going, there's a chance that we're going to have contact, and that is something where there's a lot of liability involved. And just for safety and other reasons similar, we've decided to keep it closed until that restriction is lifted. And like I said, we can't wait. I mean, it's been closed almost all year. I mean, I joined in March, and I've never seen the thing in operation. So it's been closed almost all year, and we can't wait to get it opened. One thing I will add, though, is that we sent out in our Friday newsletters a couple of times now, starting about 2 months ago. We sent out basically a call for action, and we said if we have any coaches in the community or somebody who'd like to help, let Ralph know, because we would like to organize some activities, whether it's drills or camps or contests, be it a 3-point shooting contest or something along those lines. Contact us so we can organize something where, number one, we can limit the participation, which is another concern, and a restriction or requirement of the reopening. We can limit the participation under a certain number. We can make sure to monitor distancing and all of the other requirements are involved. And unfortunately, we just haven't had a lot of response. So if anybody on the call fits the bill, you're a coach or not even pro, amateur coach, and you're willing to help your community, contact Ralph so we can organize some activities to at least reopen the courts and get some use out of them. So that's the very, very long answer to that question about why the code, or when, I should say, when the basketball courts will reopen. The short answer is we don't know. The longer answer is we would love to get them opened in some form or fashion. Ralph, there's a question about the community gardens that came in. Would you like to take that one?
Sure. So in February, we'll send out a form for you guys to fill out and show that you're interested in the community garden. In February is when we'll contact you to let you know if you were able to get a spot. I know 2 years ago we quickly ran out, so that'll come in February through the newsletter. So just make sure you're on the newsletter, and that's how you'll get all the information on it.
And just in terms of how the garden works, when you do rent that space in the community gardens, the association has each box plumbed. So you have a little device there where you'll turn the water on. All you really need to do is provide your plants. Tools are also provided. We have a box of gardening tools that you'll get for your season. So you really just need to bring your plants and your green thumb. Bryn, did that answer your question? Ralph, another one for you.
So the dog park is located on the north side of Fish Trap. To access the dog park, there's a temporary parking lot that it's in between G Road and Winsong Parkway, and it's a dirt path that kind of goes a little bit over a hill and then kind of down towards the disc golf course. Once you park there, it's a short walk over to the dog park. You can also park along Woodbine Lane over in the landing, and then walk around the pond and get there that way. We do have a map for the walking paths. If you can email, I'll send that to you directly.
And also, I believe there was a QR code or a link in the folder that you would have received when you first visited us. But if you would like another copy of that, we have it in the office. Or as Ralph mentioned, If you send an email to Ralph, he can send you out the map.
We have, as you guys have seen at the Commons, the giant overview of the master plan. If you're ever in the area, just come by and we can show you where these things are and what's the best way to get there. For someone like myself, I'm not the best with knowing where's east and west and everything all the time. So, you know, the visual is here and it's also on our website too. So you can, multiple ways to find those areas.
So the mountain bike trails are not maintained by Dorba. They're maintained by Windsong Ranch Grounds, which is an in-house landscaping team. We are forming sort of a Dorba-esque resident group that's going to kind of serve, if you have experience with Dorba, it's going to kind of be like that volunteer group that they have. So if you're interested in that, please let me know. We have a group of about 33 people right now that would like to volunteer and kind of fill that same role. So through programming, kind of giving experience feedback, we're going on a walk soon to just kind of see ways that we could maintain the mountain bike trails a little differently.
Well, it looks like we've got everything answered. We're all available to you guys. As we mentioned, we'll be sending the recap of the presentation. This Zoom call has been recorded as well, so we'll post that on our YouTube video channel. And then keep an eye out on our emails for anything. If you know somebody who missed this call, we have been doing them monthly because we're getting that many new residents, but we'll do them at least every other month going forward, if not monthly. So if you feel like this was a good tool and you know somebody that's interested, just have them keep a lookout for the next time we'll do it. And if nobody has anything else, we'll end the call here.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
all.
everyone. Appreciate you
Thank
taking some time out of your day and visiting with us and giving us all those great questions. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good night. Be safe.